Folks, I don't have a cute little once upon a time parable to share with you for today's show. Frankly, I'm pissed. I'm more than just pissed. I'm beside myself. I am outraged. My hair is on fire. What little hair I have left on my head is on fire. And if you're paying attention, your hair should be on fire too, because the shit that is going on is insane. And I don't think enough people are out there raising the alarm in agreement with the fact that shit is insane. Absolutely insane. Yesterday, we saw the tackling and handcuffing of a United States senator in his own building, in his own state, for asking a question. This is the United States of America. It's not Russia. It's not North Korea. It's America, where our very First Amendment guarantees us the right to ask a question without fear of crimination or retaliation. This dude was handcuffed, and he's a United States senator. And in his words, he said, imagine if it was a day laborer or a cook or, somebody who doesn't have that clout. And that's just one thing. This is a week in which 242 people died in a tragic airplane crash, Air India, and that's not even the biggest story. So, yeah, we got some shit to get into today, this week. And like I said, I'm pissed. And I hope by the end of today's episode, I'm able to air out as many grievances as possible. So I'm feeling a little bit better about going into this weekend and coming out on the other side okay. So I hope you're ready to get into it. I am. Let's go. Story time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Story Time with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad, and I am fucking mad. I'm so sorry, guys. I really am. I sometimes I wish the folks that we have on TV, and I don't want to I don't want to say anything bad about the folks like Nicole Wallace and Simone Sanders and Michael Steele, Rachel Maddow, Lawrence, of course, and even Stephanie Rule. They are holding it down. Did I miss Alicia Mendez? Alicia Mendez too, but the daytime folks are just, they are checked out. They're not meeting the times, frankly. And neither is half of our Congress, and maybe even half of our judiciary. These are very scary times. But before I get carried away on the rest of this rant, let me just say, for this weekend, those of you out there who are celebrating Father's Day, happy Father's Day in advance to you, to the fathers out there. And let me just say, some of you who are single moms out there, you get to celebrate Father's Day too. I hope you get an extra gift. It's not just Mother's Day excuse me, that you deserve. You also deserve a Father's Day. If you are holding it down, if your baby daddy, if your kid's father, if he is absent, if he is not doing his job and you are holding that down, happy Father's Day to you. Um, and also, I want to say happy No King's Day. This is tomorrow. Saturday is No King's Day. It is meant to overshadow the grotesque display that is costing American taxpayers $45 million to massage the fragile ego of Trumple Thinskin, aka Spanky McDumbass, and that's tomorrow. So let me just take a quick peek and see who is hanging out with us today. And as I said last week, I'm trying to shorten this a little bit just so that those who are watching on replay, hang in there with us. Okay, so let's see. Oh, we got Joanne Kennedy. Joanne Kennedy is at the top of the order here, followed by, of course, our friend Zelda. Good friend Zelda. There she is. Meredith Powell. These guys are going back and forth. Okay, let's see. Candace is here. Bernadette H is here. Valerie G is here. Mary Margaret Rachel is here. Monique Lee, of course, is here. Lucy L. Krampus. Hey, Krampus, long time no see. There you are. Claudia is here. Sandra Lee. I know I don't see her yet, but I'm sure Cindy C is here. She does not miss an episode. Let's see. Boy, you guys, this is a lively chat today. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into, there's Midas Robin, Elaine Prieto. Oh, Elaine Prieto, I haven't seen you in a minute. Trump Reaper's here. Okay, I see a bunch of you guys here. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. Thank you for joining the show today. And let me jump right into what I like to call our stories of the day.
Stories of the day.
So, as I said, I'm going to attempt to keep the pace of the show crisp and lively. Let's see if that makes a difference to the algorithm. Okay, so the main cover story of the day, it says Senator Cuffed. Senator Cuffed, and there is Senator Alex Padilla, whose last name is quite similar to my own. Mine is Padellin, his is Padilla. And the top story, or one of the top stories, is that Israel has started dropping bombs or firing missiles at Iran, and Iran has started firing them back. So we now have a war, despite the fact that many people who voted for Trump were like, oh, Trump is going to be the no war president. Yeah. Okay. One of his favorite statements is, if I was president, the Ukraine war would never happen. Well, you know what? Your 24 hours have come and gone in which you promised to end that war. So that's a big zero for you too. So here we have on the screen is a march, a military march by North Korea. What? No, actually, excuse me. Hold on. No, I'm being told that is a military march parade by American soldiers emulating Trump's favorite thing about dictators. It's disgusting. And hopefully it gets completely overshadowed by our No Kings marches being held all across the country. Last but not least, as I alluded to early in the show, the disgusting event that happened yesterday that still has me tied up in knots was the tackling and detaining, cuffing and detaining of United States Senator Alex Padilla. It's disgraceful. And what was even more disgraceful is, as of right now, the only Republicans who have said anything to denounce this was Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, aka Senator Concernicus. The rest of them, crickets. Shameful, absolutely shameful. And let's see. And of course, we have the dumbest Trump comment of the week. You know, it's funny. This segment alone could go on until forever. It's evergreen because he's saying something dumb on a daily basis as long as his mouth is moving. Make sure, if this is your first time here, please make sure you hit the like button, which looks like a thumbs up, and also hit the subscribe button, which is in the lower right corner of your screen. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Oh, Claudia with the news break here saying that Padilla said one of the senators from Utah called him. I doubt it's Mike Lee, so it's probably the other one. Can't possibly be Mike Lee. All right, let's move on. My Substack this week had a fiery segment on the press that kneels, ABC's disgrace in the age of Trump. This one, oh my God. I don't remember if this happened before my show last week, before last week's show, or if it was Saturday when I found out that, it might have been Saturday or Sunday that I found out that ABC was suspending Terry Moran. Terry Moran is the ABC journalist who famously interviewed Trump in the Oval Office. And then when he asked him what his thoughts were on the Declaration of Independence, Trump was like, it means unity and love. And Terry Moran did the funniest double take I've ever seen in my life. Cracked me the hell up. Anyway, he had a rant himself that he posted on Twitter that kind of got him in hot water. And I don't see why. The comments were about Stephen Miller. Like, who the hell gives a damn about Stephen Miller, for crying out loud? But ABC took exception with it, and they suspended him for saying that Stephen Miller, it says, he is one of the people. Let me just read this quickly. The thing about Stephen Miller is not that he is the brains behind Trumpism. Yes, he is one of the people who conceptualizes the impulses of the Trumpist movement and translates them into policy. But that's not what's interesting about Miller. It's not his brains. It's not brains. It's bile. Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world-class hater. You can see this just by looking at him, because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred is only a means to an end, and that end, his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. Now, in my opinion, that's tame. That's tame, what he said about Stephen Miller and what he said about Trump. But then a couple of days after that, they fired Terry Moran for this tweet. Unreal. It's unreal. And ABC, shame on you. Shame on you. You don't even have any programming worth watching anyway. I used to watch ABC back when 2020 was still a show. I don't know if it still is anymore, but if it is, who needs them? Definitely not watching Dancing with the Stars or The Bachelor, Bachelorette, any of that crap programming. I'm sorry if you like those shows. I just feel like shows like that began the dumbing down of our American population. Hate to say it, shows like that, the Big Brother, all of those reality shows that don't require a script, that or actually they do require. Some of them are scripted, but yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. Anyway, what also was terrible was that this week we lost some musical geniuses. First, we lost Sly Stone, uh, who is famous for many, many songs. My favorite is Dance to the Music. And I watched a special about him, which I'm not going to talk about now. I'll talk about later on in the show. An amazing documentary I highly recommend. We'll get into that later. And then just the other day, Brian Wilson, yet another musical genius, which, like, when I was growing up, I didn't fully appreciate how talented this dude was, because my introduction to the Beach Boys was, like, do you guys remember those Sun-Kissed commercials? Good, 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 good vibrations. I'm bringing up good vibration. Sun-kissed are so to taste sensation. So by the time I had heard Good Vibrations the first time, it was a Sun-Kissed commercial. So, the commercialization of music really does kind of cheapen it a little bit. And I hope that kids in today's, like, kids growing up today, when they hear shit on commercials, if they're watching commercials, if they take a second to acknowledge, and let me take a second to acknowledge my friend Zelda, who for some reason I completely missed this. Hang on. There it is. Zelda. Zelda, thank you so much for your incredibly kind and generous donation to the show. I greatly appreciate you, and I hope your ears are feeling better soon. She's having some ear discomfort. Thank you so much, Zelda. You are awesome and amazing. Thank you. So yeah, finally, when I grew up, a friend of mine, a coworker, had kind of introduced me to Brian Wilson, who was the brains behind the Beach Boys. And wow, that dude was amazing. And also, I will say, there's a movie called Love and Mercy. So another movie that I highly recommend. It was excellent. And I'll talk about that later on in the show. So yeah, now is the very unpleasant part, where I'm discussing what should, in a normal week, should have been the main story of the week. This was a devastating air accident in which 242 people, passengers and crew, died in an Air India airplane crash. And there was one survivor. One person survived this crash. Let me see if I can get his name there. His name is, excuse me, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh. And he is a British resident. He was sitting in seat 11A. That shouldn't matter, but ironically, there is, for those of you who have watched the movie Final Destination, there was a character in the movie Final Destination who had a premonition of an air disaster, and he got like 8 people to deplane just moments before the plane tragically exploded. And sadly, I think one of the saddest pictures you will ever see is this family of 5 took this picture just before the plane took off. Yeah, it's brutal. I know they don't know the cause of the accident yet. I think the plane was in the air about 30 seconds before before it started to come down and before it crashed. They said the landing gear was down and the flaps were up, and it should have been the reverse. The landing gear should have been up and the flaps should have been down. It's just a tragic story. Let me switch gears a little bit with some better news. Donald Trump was booed. Donald Trump and Melania were booed mercilessly at their first Kennedy Center show on opening night of Les Miserables. Now, for those of you who have not yet seen Les Miserables, Meredith Winner. Meredith said, Les Miserables, Melania's Secret Service name. That is brilliant. Congratulations to you for that one. That's awesome. Les Miserables is about the uprising against a tyrannical king. So yeah, people booed, and there was a mixture. I suppose there was a mixture of people who booed and some people who cheered, but I think it's noteworthy. President Obama didn't get boos at the Kennedy Center. Donald Trump had the audacity of just removing everybody from the Kennedy Center board and installing his own people and putting himself as the chairperson of the Kennedy Center. So it's disgraceful. So, I love that for him. He should suffer boos till his last of his days, I think. Some other news that was interesting. You guys remember the beef between Trump and Elon Musk last week? It was mostly Elon Musk that was uncorking some questionable tweets, shall we say, some tweets in which he appeared to be going after Donald Trump, going after his jugular, even calling him a pedo, accused him of being a pedo. And then this week, he came out with what some people are calling, a lot of people in the media are calling an apology. I'm not, because I have apologized before in my life. I have received apologies. And if this was offered to me as an apology, I'd have been like, try again. Nope, that's not cutting it. His tweet, which was sent at 3 a.m. I don't know why this one says 12:04 p.m., but he says, I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump last week. They went too far. Let me read that again and emphasize the key word here. He says, I regret some of my posts. So that's a backhanded apology, right? It means I don't regret all of them. Let's recap what were his tweets. He said, well, the main one was time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. So he said that was big. It wasn't really big because everybody knew he was in the Epstein files already, that he was all over the call logs and the plane logs and, hundreds of pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. So that wasn't a surprise to anybody. I'm sure Elon must have access to some files because he had his hackers all over the place in every single, they had carte blanche. They had a blank check to go in and get all of the data that they wanted to get. So he must have something. He also tweeted that Trump would not have won without his help. Now that kind of dovetails with Donald Trump's strange, mysterious boast about Elon being good at computers, and he thought he wasn't going to win. But then next thing you knew, Elon is great at computers and he's good with the vote counting machine. Wait, what? The vote counting? Yeah. Okay. So Elon saying, I regret some of my posts. That raises more questions than anything. Which ones do you not regret, man? So Donald Trump is obsessed with military parades. I don't know if it was, like the first time he saw, Vladimir Putin being honored by a military parade, if it was when he personally attended France's military parade, but now it's all he can't stop talking about it. He can't stop talking about it. And right after he went to he attended France's military parade, he was raving about that too. Oh, it's amazing. And that was when we first started hearing him talk about doing one of these on his birthday. Okay. It wasn't this year, right? I just want to make this clear because suddenly the media is complicit with papering over the real story of they're saying, oh, this is the 250th anniversary of the Army. That's why there's a parade. Come on, you dumbasses. Come on now. Stay with us here. Years ago, Donald Trump wanted a military parade on his birthday, and he didn't get it because there were still guardrails around him. But now he's installed some absolute boneheads, some lightweights who cannot tell him no, who cannot be a guardrail to save their life. So now he's getting what he wants, right? And now the media is helping him along to paper over the story. So they're billing this not as Donald Trump's birthday parade, but as the 250th anniversary of the Army, which I looked it up. It is, 250 years ago tomorrow, June 14th, was when the Army became a thing. But we wouldn't be having this just for the Army. Just let's be clear, right? This is because Donald Trump wants to be honored. He wants the military to honor him. Let's make this clear. He doesn't give a shit about the military. If he gave a shit about the military, he wouldn't call our fallen heroes suckers and losers. If he gave a shit about the military, he wouldn't be going along with the drastic cuts to veteran services in his big, beautiful bill. He wouldn't go along with that. If he gave a shit about the military, he wouldn't allow those National Guardsmen that were sent to Los Angeles to be sleeping on the floor with no pay. If he gave a shit about the military, when he went to Fort Bragg the other day and gave the most disgraceful speech by a president in the history of forever, and I am not exaggerating. That is not, that's not hyperbole. It was easily the most disgraceful speech because he made it political. He had these guys behind him, these men and women. Actually, it's just men behind him. This whole thing was staged to the nth degree, right? He wanted no fat soldiers. He wanted only people who support him. And there's like a whole list of criteria these people had to meet to be in attendance at this thing. But then it says here, the New York Times, Trump crossed the line at Fort Bragg. No president in modern history has done more to put the military in the middle of political and cultural crossfire than Donald Trump. Sorry, I'm straining to read because my contacts are are not great for some reason right now. But yeah, this was a disgraceful thing where he coaxed the military into booing when he said President Biden, into booing when he said Governor Gavin Newsom. Like, come on, dude. Can you just pretend to be presidential? Do you always have to be a scumbag? It's just people wonder why I seem to I get accused of Trump derangement syndrome quite a bit by the trolls. And I don't give a shit anymore. It is what it is. But I'll tell you why, right? If this dude was just like doing his job without having to fucking jab at President Biden all the time and blame him for every goddamn thing, if he could say 3 sentences without lying, I would ignore him, right? I've happily ignored many presidents for the most part throughout most of my life. And I'm a guy who does pay attention to politics. I do. But, I remember the days of George W. Bush, who we despised, but I was able to go about my business without compulsively doom scrolling of an app. Well, I wasn't on Twitter back during George W. Bush's years, but I was happily living my life. Every once in a while, I'd say, "Oh, George W. Bush, he's an idiot." And then, what's on TV today? What do we have for dinner? That was what it was. But now, he has forced himself into our daily discussion because we have to wake up now compulsively and find out, has this fucker gotten us into a war? What's happening to my Social Security? What's happened to my Medicaid or Medicare? If he could just, has he closed the African American Museum yet? Because that's next. That's coming. Has he made it illegal has he made same-sex marriages illegal yet? Has he done that? So Trump derangement syndrome, not so much. It's just like, I'd like a regular president who I don't feel attacked by all the time. I don't remember President Biden calling out, red states and saying, "You guys suck." No, he said he was going to be president of all the states, red and blue. I don't even remember George W. Bush trolling us. I don't. God, I would prefer that. Anyway, the hell was I talking about? I was talking about, this this parade. All right, so yeah, tomorrow is the Trump birthday parade. Also, as JoJo from Jers very eloquently put it, the small in the pants parade, which just cracked me the hell up. She's hilarious, by the way. By the way, JoJo from Jers has a new podcast. It's called Sane-ish. Make sure you check it out. That's on Substack. She's not paying me to say that. I'm just saying she's very funny, very engaging. You should definitely check it out. Subscribe to her Substack. So yeah, right now, the one part of the, like, there are millions of dollars that have been allocated. So 45 million is the estimate, but out of that 45 million, 16 million alone is being allocated to repair the streets after the tanks destroy them. Because they are almost certain that these tanks are too heavy for the asphalt or the blacktop or whatever. They believe it's going to be destroyed. So, I mean, this is just a waste. It's a waste of taxpayer funds. I can think of so many other things that they can do. You know, they cut cancer research, but you can afford $45 million to prop up this guy's ego. Come on. That's ludicrous. But the good news is, oh, wait, here's right on cue. Here's my buddy Philosophy. Hey, Phil, what's good? Glad to see you, buddy. There is now a 90% chance of rain for Tacos Parade. I love it. I love it so much. I'm feeling better already. So apparently it could potentially be canceled because of thunderstorms, not just rain. Let's be clear about that. Rain alone will not cancel it, but thunderstorms, the chance of lightning will cause them to have to cancel. So manifest. I am manifesting that. Meanwhile, the rest of the country will be engaged. And when I say the rest of the country, I mean 1,800 locations around the nation will be gathered in protest on No King's Day. No King's mass protest, June 14th, 2025. That's tomorrow. And a better way to protest I cannot think of. So some very important things to remember is that you have the right, you as a citizen have the right to protest in a public space. Do not engage with agitators. Do not engage with people who are trying to get you to react, people who want you to be violent, and just be aware that there are many people that are trained in Indivisible to like de-escalate that shit. So don't worry, don't feel like you have to take them on. The folks in Indivisible, this is a very highly organized parade. They already handled 1,300 individual marches for the hands-off protests, hands-off Social Security, hands-off Medicaid, hands-off, those hands-off marches went off without a hitch. No violence, no destruction, nothing. So tomorrow is going to be more of the same. And the more people who show up, the better. The bigger, the better. But if you're in a small town and like 50 people show up, that's tremendous. So let's see, what else do we have here? All right, so there is a war now going on between Iran and Israel. Last night, Israel started to launch missiles at Iran, supposedly targeting only nuclear sites. They were calling these strikes preemptive, presumably preemptively targeting their nuclear sites. But here's the ironic thing, right? We, as in the United States, we were part of a deal with Iran. It was the JCPOA, which was intended to, don't ask me what the acronym means. I just know that that's what it was. But it was intended to keep Iran, either prevent or delay Iran from getting a nuclear weapon or having the materials necessary to put a weapon together. They were far, far off from that goal. Donald Trump ripped it up, said, no, we're not going to do that, and replaced it with nothing. He took us out of the deal and replaced it with nothing. And mind you, folks, that is what he wants to do with our health care. He wants to eliminate Obamacare. If he could eliminate it today with no plan to replace it, that's what he would do. As recently as earlier this year, he was like, you know, I have concepts of a plan. Concepts of a plan. So he didn't even have concepts of a plan to deal with Iran not getting the materials they need for nuclear weapons. So they were supposed to have negotiations with Iran. Whether or not that was real or a ruse is beyond me. I have no idea. But what I can say is that they are exchanging missiles now. So the folks who were like, oh, Donald Trump is going to be the no war president. He's peaceful. He's going to get the Peace Prize. You dumb motherfuckers. That's all I can say about that. Yeah, so the world has become yet more dangerous because there's a complete moron in charge of making decisions on our behalf. And that leads me to the protests that arose organically, I suppose, after it was last weekend. It was late Friday or early Saturday morning where protests arose in Los Angeles, and not all of Los Angeles, mind you. It was a small segment of Los Angeles, and they were predominantly peaceful. Predominantly peaceful until some outside agitators got their hands on some, what do they call those cars? There's some self-driving cars. I can't remember the name of them. Moves. I don't remember the name. It begins with an M. And you see on the left side of the screen here, there's the state of California. There is a little blue chunk there. And that little blue chunk is Los Angeles. Just so you can get an idea of the scale of the protest, right? So that little tiny blue chunk is all of Los Angeles, right? To the right, that is a close-up of Los Angeles. All those different color, blue, purple, green, brown pieces are little different neighborhoods of Los Angeles. Now, where there's a red arrow and a little tiny circle, that is the area of Los Angeles, Waymo. Thank you, Krampus. Thank you. It's Waymo. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You guys too. All right. I think it was the Trump Reaper answered first. So here, that little tiny area is like a 4-block, it's like literally like 4 city blocks in Los Angeles, in downtown Los Angeles. That is the area of protest that we are discussing, right? Now, if you listened to Donald Trump and the Republicans and Fox News, you would think all of California was on fire. Was completely engulfed in flames. Every last California, oh my God, everything is on fire. No. No. But Fox News just kept looping this. Fox News kept looping these images of burning cars, of smoke, of this person here holding a Palestinian, is that Palestinian flag? I think it's a Mexican flag, but there was plenty of Palestinian flags out there too. And wherever they were, that's what they were filming, right? So they played it up big time. tiniest section of Los Angeles was on fire. They made it seem like all of California was on fire. And so that created the pretext for Donald Trump to federalize the National Guard. So he took control. He would not send the National Guard to quell the riots at the Capitol, where Capitol Police were physically being beaten by fire extinguishers, by flagpoles, bear spray, tasers, everything you can possibly imagine. These cops were under assault. He wouldn't send the National Guard to help them out. He wouldn't even make a statement for 187 minutes. He just let them go wild. He was right down the road. Right down the road from there. He wouldn't do a goddamn thing. But now, 3,000 miles away in California, now he's Concernicus. Now, this little 4-block radius, send the National Guard. He sent thousands of troops there. He also sent the goddamn Marines. Where's the article here? He sent the Marines, mobilized Marines and more National Guard troops for duty in LA. Now, by the time he decided to send the National Guard, the fires were out. The protests had died down a lot. They died down a lot because LAPD flooded the zone. The Los Angeles Police Department outnumbered protesters probably 3 or 4 to 1. There was more media there than there were protesters. Okay? The National Guard, what were they doing? Guarding 2 federal buildings. 2 federal buildings. That's what the hell they were doing. Trump is planning to use the National Guard. He's planning to deploy them all over. Not red states, mind you, just blue states, blue cities. New York, Chicago, anywhere where there is a Democratic governor or mayor, that's where he's going to send him to show us all up. That's his plan, right? Screw states' rights. They don't care about states' rights. They never did. They just care about power. They don't care about free speech. They care about me speech. It's me speech and power. Baltimore is another place. Thank you, Nurse Mitch. Wait, what was it? Minus Robin says, save the buildings for the love of God. The buildings. I do appreciate you guys. Your comments are great. So let's now finally get into what the fuck happened yesterday. Okay. Now, I hadn't heard about Senator Alex Padilla until there was a special election a couple of years ago, and he won that special election. He was appointed to replace somebody who, was it Dianne Feinstein? Maybe might have been Dianne Feinstein when she passed. And I hadn't heard about him prior to that, but apparently he's a big deal there in Los Angeles and California in general. He's a player. He's been there. He's been handling his business. He is not just like picking up a paycheck and, shaking hands. He is actually doing the work of a U.S. senator. And so there he was that day in the building where his office is, where Kristi Gnome was holding a press conference. Now, he had meetings with other people in that. Look at Misha Oliver here. Contribution from Misha Oliver saying Padilla is a very big deal here. Yeah. So it's not just me saying that. Oh, thank you, Claudia. Thank you. Of course. Padilla took Kamala's seat. Thank you for that. You guys are so smart. I love my smart audience. So he was escorted into the press conference area, into the area where she was giving the press conference. He was escorted there by FBI and some other guys with badges, right? But how it was characterized by Kristi Gnome and by other Republicans, you would have thought he went in there foot first, through the door, bust through the door, ran up to the stage, attempt to tackle her. That's not what went down. And there's video. There's video of it. So I haven't played any video yet, and I had all this video that I plan to share with you guys today. Let's see. Let's go here. Okay. Today's storytime content. Oh, I saved this one here before I show you the video. This person tweeted this. Yesterday, Julie Kelly, pictured below, said that Senator Padilla, who's the son of Mexican immigrants, quote, looks like a janitor and doesn't know how to speak English. Padilla is a graduate of MIT and a senator. Julie is a MAGA legal analyst without a law degree and a food blogger. I just thought I'd share that with you because it's part of why Alex Padilla was tackled yesterday, I believe. So let's play this first, because this is part of Kristi Gnome's conference that just preceded the moment that Senator Padilla began to speak.
Only going to continue and be increased until we have peace on the streets of Los Angeles. The president has told me, Kristi, use everything that we have to make sure that the citizens of Los Angeles know that we care about them, that they have lived with crime for far too long, and that we want them to be able to walk their children to school in the morning and feel safe. We want them to, small businesses downtown, to not have to worry about getting burned to the ground because some organized crime nonprofit funder is deciding that now is the time to send a political message or an agenda. So we're going to stay here.
Listen to what she just put together. Some organized non-profit crime funder. She's just making shit up. You know, bedtime scary stories.
And build our operations until we make sure that we liberate the city of Los Angeles. Yes, back there.
So when she said liberate the city of Los Angeles, right? I tweeted this today, just so you know, when these fascist fuckers like Trump and Gnome talk about quote unquote liberating states, they are straight up talking about civil war. Federal government shitting all over states' rights. GOP used to bitch about that. Now, crickets. So this was the moment just before Senator Padilla had something to say. So let's go to this one right here. Okay. And by now, most of you have already seen what transpired. You know, the assault. I've been calling it assault because I can't think of whatever the hell else, however else you would characterize that. It was an assault. This was a guy who is a United States senator. He's got secrets. He's got security clearance, right? He sits on at least one of the committees that Kristi Gnome oversees. You know what I mean? So it's not like she didn't know who the hell he was. And let me see if I can. So what Republicans are trying to say, and Joanne Kennedy, thank you so much. Thank you for the kind donation. I appreciate you. And oh shit, hang on. I did miss somebody else too. Misha Oliver, look at you. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let's see. Let's go back to the share screen. Here we go. So the moment of truth is that they're saying that he did not identify himself. And from the very first time I saw this clip, not only was I stunned, but I noted he said, I'm Alex Padilla, I'm the senator. Here it is.
Guys, ready? And Bell. Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
How many of our ICE agents have been docked?
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I put behind my back.
All right. Cool. Other hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording allowed out here.
I did not know.
There's no recording allowed out here per FBI, right?
So what, I'm sorry?
There's no recording allowed out here.
That's my boss. I have to
There's no
record
recording
everything
allowed
for
out
us.
here. You can record. There's no recording allowed out here.
I'm not a member
There's
of the
no
press.
recording allowed.
I understand that, sir.
That also sounds like some bullshit too. No recording allowed out here. So you have a United States senator being assaulted, handcuffed, and detained, and you don't want that on camera? Fuck you. That's everything about that scene was wrong, right? First of all, I'm going to say it plain. If he was white, he would not have been detained. If he was white, he would not have been assaulted. If he was white, he would not have been handcuffed. He's a United States senator. The millions of people of California who elected him to represent them said that he has a right to be in that goddamn press conference where Kristi Gnome is from fucking South Dakota. She had less a right to be there. Casting false, saying bullshit about his state. And he wanted to ask a question. He wanted to set the record straight. She didn't want that. That upset her, the framing of her argument. So no. Get rid of him. Covering their faces, no camera, no recording. Yeah, absolute bullshit. And I would say the same for ICE too, which is the whole reason why these protests arose in the first place, is these ICE raids out of control. You said you wanted to deport criminals who were here illegally. What are they doing instead? They're going to people's places of work. They're going to school graduations. They're going to businesses. They're going to Home Depot, as ordered by Stephen Miller. They're going and apprehending people who have not broken the law, people who are paying taxes that they will never they will never benefit from. In fact, this is so crazy that earlier this week, Donald Trump put out a Truth Social post saying that they're reconsidering now. Now they're reconsidering the farming industry. They're going to stop going after farm workers and the hotel. What is that called? Leisure. All these different industries that are now being adversely affected by the ICE raids because the workers don't want to show up now, because if they show up, they risk being deported. They're even showing up at court where people are following the fucking law. They are following the legal process. You have all these Trumpers, I don't mind, immigrants as long as they're here legally, as long as they follow the process. Well, they're fucking following the process, and you jackasses are online saying, yeah, I voted for that. Oh, you, the same jackass who said, you don't mind as long as they're here legally. They don't give a shit about legal. They want brown people gone because somebody told them that undocumented immigrants are here to replace them. Because a study came out maybe a decade or two ago that said by the year 2050, Caucasians will no longer be the predominant race in America. It will be Latinos. And I don't care how many cruel policies you set up, there's nothing you can do to change that. It is what it is. Wheels already in motion. As cruel as Donald Trump's immigration policies have been and chaotic, he hasn't even deported 1 million people yet. And he was talking about deporting 15 to 20 million. He's way off that base by a lot. So he falls short of that number by half. His mission is already a failure. And his mission is going to be a failure because we, the American people, are not standing for it. We are fighting him tooth and nail. And by we, I'm including like the lawyers who are doing all the heavy lifting, the lawyers and the federal judges and the appeals courts. Everybody is saying, no, you can't just do what you want to do, despite the fact that the Supreme Court is trying to give him the powers of a king. The Republicans in Congress are trying to give him the powers of a king. But the rest of the thinking country is like, no, we don't do kings here. We don't swear fealty or loyalty to a king. We have the Constitution that we swear loyalty to. So, I haven't seen any Republicans step up in defense of Senator Padilla, aside from, as I said earlier, Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, and that's very disappointing. I'm not surprised. I'm just disappointed, and I was disgusted by what I saw yesterday. We should never have that in the United States of America. Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson, who hopefully won't have the job a year from today because we'll replace him, because we will come out in like incredible numbers and vote him out of office. He's talking about censuring Senator Padilla for what? For asking a fucking question? You're a joke. You're a clown. You're an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. So many people. I don't even have time to get into how many people are disgraceful. But let me just briefly discuss. Last week I said I was watching this movie, the Laundromat, a movie starring Meryl Streep, Antonio Banderas, Gary Oldman, and it was about it's about an actual scheme involving, you guys might have heard of the Panama Papers. This was a big scandal that came out maybe 10 years ago or something, maybe 10 years ago. True story. And it had a good ending. So I highly recommend it. It was funny, it was engaging, and ultimately it had a good ending. And then Love and Mercy, I mentioned this earlier today. This is a movie about the life of Brian Wilson, the leader of the Beach Boys. It also shows a breakdown of his creative process in a lot of the songs that he did, including Good Vibrations. I think God Only Knows. Like, dude was a genius. He was operating on a completely different level. God Only Knows is a song that he wrote that Paul McCartney was extremely envious of. He said it's like the best song ever written. Yeah. So what I didn't know about Brian Wilson was that he went through some serious manipulation and abuse by somebody who he should have been able to trust. It was like his therapist. The guy was manipulating him, and it was, rough sledding for him until certain things happened to change his life around. Highly recommend. Great movie. And both John Cusack and Paul Dano played two different times of Brian Wilson's life. There they are. John Cusack and Paul Dano and Brian Wilson there in the middle. Rest in peace, Brian Wilson. I love his music. He's awesome. And then there's this other show called Sly Lives, aka The Burden of Black Genius, and it's I believe this was produced by Questlove. It's on Hulu, and it's basically a documentary about the life of Sly Stone. Sly and the Family Stone was the name of the group, and there's so many songs that they wrote, and this was a groundbreaking group because back in the day, bands were either all men or all women. They were all black or they were all white. And he kind of just broke the mold with that and kind of integrated everything into one band. And my friend Bernadette Ramos, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you for that. Thank you. And let's so I highly recommend that documentary as well. Very informative. And there's a movie out called The Accountant 2. I don't know if you need to see the first one, The Accountant. It's starring Ben Affleck, plays a guy who is on the spectrum. I think he's like a high functioning, they call high functioning something. Word. Help me out here, guys. Anyway, he's high functioning, and he's a brilliant accountant, but he's also an assassin. And it's a very cool premise. Check out the first one. I plan to see the second one this weekend. And then there's another movie. It's called Deep Cover. And Monique Lee, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Deep Cover is a movie starring Bryce Dallas Howard. That's Ron Howard's daughter. And the guy who plays Nate in Ted Lasso, I think it's Muhammad something. Sorry. And Orlando Bloom. And the three of them, Bryce Dallas Howard is a teacher. She's an acting teacher. She teaches an improv group, and Nate and Orlando are her students, and they have to pretend to be like criminals, mobsters or something. Autistic. Thank you, Samantha Hawkins. High functioning autistic. Thank you for that. That was the accountant I was talking about. All right, last but not least, we have the dumbest comment of the week. And this is a tough thing to decide because there's so many stupid things that he says from day to day, hour to hour, and week to week. But this week, Donald Trump claimed that Vladimir Putin lost 51 million people in World War II. It was actually 26 million, but Vladimir Putin was only 4 years old when World War II was going on. But he claims he did fight. And how a comment like that is not top of the news cycle for several news cycles, I'll never know. But he just keeps saying these bizarre things that are not connected to reality. He claims that Hitler gave a speech at the Eiffel Tower. He did not. So are the people around him not correcting him? The people closest to him, are they not setting the record straight? They're just letting him rock with whatever he thinks is cool? Or are they correcting him and he's like forgetting? What is even happening? But let me play that clip. It's insane. Share screen here. Boom. What's this here? Share. Oh. What the hell am I doing? Let's see. Let's go. More bookmarks here. Okay. Yeah, here we go.
And I called France and Macron, who's a good man, I said, what are you doing? He goes, we're celebrating World War II, our victory. I said, your victory? Your victory. Tell me about that. And then I called somebody else, and I happened to speak to President Putin at the time. Now, in all fairness to him, he lost 51 million people, and he did fight. Russia fought. Sort of interesting, isn't it? He fought with us in World War II, and everybody hates him. And Germany and Japan, they're fine. Someday somebody will explain that, but I like Germany and Japan too. But Putin is a little confused by that, He said, we lost 51 million people, and we were your ally. And now everybody hates Russia, and they love Germany and Japan. I said, let's explain that sometime, okay? And I called.
This stuff that he says, they just chalk it up to, well, that's Trump being Trump. No. If it was Joe Biden saying these things, look at it, fucking Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper wrote a whole book about Joe Biden after the fact, that he made a big deal about, and they spent many, many news cycles rehashing that. Turns out that Joe Biden was old. What else did he say? He said that, in a previous thing, he said that in World War I, that we fought Japan. Then that's not the case either. But they're just letting him rock on these things, whatever. It's absolutely insane. So that's his dumbest comment of the week. Next week will easily be something dumber. So, folks, thanks for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. I got time for some questions. I know I've been trying to return to answering questions at the end of the show. So what do you got for me, folks? What do you got? Hey, Aries Wanderer. I see Stella Baxter, Smila J. Folks that I didn't see as I was tuning everybody in. Nurse Mitch, aka Tracy M. This is great. I love this. Lucy L says, looks like you lost weight. Wonderful. I wish, but thank you for that. No, I've been hovering around the same weight for months. I mean, I don't know. I haven't weighed myself today. But thank you for noticing. I feel physically, I feel healthy. So maybe that's what it is. Thank you. Or maybe it's I'm wearing my Brooklyn Nets. This is yeah, maybe that's it. Lori B wants to know, do you think Trump is going to get us into the war with Iran? I have very little faith in Donald Trump's ability to do the right thing. However, that said, I think we avoid getting into this. I think what's going to happen is that the back and forth between Iran and Israel is going to be protracted over the next 6 to 12 months. There's going to be missiles flying back and forth, and the United States will try to claim that they're not helping Israel. I think we'll probably end up helping them with missiles or something. I don't think we get directly involved in it. I don't know that makes that much of a difference, you know. But yeah, it is what it is. Meredith Powell wants to know, will the Knicks make it next year? That's still a sore spot for me. They were so close, man. I could taste it. I'm upset. I can't even tell you how upset I am. The Knicks did not get in. I don't know. I think I love where we are right now. I think if we keep our important pieces in place, I thought it was a mistake that they let the coach Thibs. I think it was a mistake to let him go. I don't know who they're going to replace him with, but I know he got the Knicks to overperform. If they keep all the right pieces in place, I think, yeah, we're going places. But if they tinker too much with the chemistry on that team, I don't know about it. I don't know. We shall see. Okay. So Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta. We got Lulu Girl wants to know, how's Kitty Cat doing? Any new pics? No new pics, but I keep forgetting. One of these days, I'm actually going to bring Sonny out here with me. He is the biggest cat I've ever had. He's massive. He's huge. He was a tiny, cute little thing. I think when we first found him in our yard, he was like this big. You could hold him in one hand, you know. And now he's like he's weighty. He weighs a lot. He's probably like, I don't know, 15 pounds right now. And he's not fat. He's just big. He's a big cat. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. For those of you who are going to attend a No King's Day protest tomorrow, please be safe. Make sure you bring ample water with you. If your phone is set to unlock with your face, change that. Take that shit off. Take that shit off. Trust me, because the cops can compel you to open your phone with your face. They cannot compel you to open it with your code. So disable that for tomorrow. If you just do it for tomorrow alone, that's fine. As I said earlier, don't engage with the what do you call those guys? The instigators and you know, those assholes. And again, have a wonderful Father's Day, and have a great day tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you guys here next week, same time, same place. I love you all. Peace.